Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Chessable British Junior Championships. And we are going to be joining again the under 12s. And also, actually, why don't we do it before we even start? Let's have a little chat with a player from the under 8s. Are you, Grace? Grace, come and join us on screen. We're just going to do a little chat with Grace before we even start. There's you.
Hello,
Can
Grace.
you see you? Grace, so hi, how has your tournament been, Grace?
Good.
Good. You've had a good time?
Yeah.
Here in Torquay. Do you like Torquay?
Yeah.
Yeah? And how's the chess been?
Good.
Good. What's your score been, Grace?
4.5.
4.5 out of 7?
Yeah.
Very nice. And you've had some nice games?
Yeah.
Yeah? What opening do you like? What's your favourite? Put you on the spot here. When you play white, what do you like to play for your first?
Gambit.
King's Gambit. Yeah, me too. What do you think of the King's Gambit, Adam?
Yeah, excellent opening, Grace. Good choice.
Cool. And are you going to play any more chess? Are you going to play some at the weekend, or are you done now for the week?
I'm done for the week.
You're done for the week. So a successful tournament.
Did you win today, Grace?
Anything else you want to see? Sorry. Yeah.
Did you win today, Grace?
Adam.
Did she win?
Yeah.
Yes. Very nice. We can't actually see your games online because I think you're not on one of the live boards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was it you can say anything you like then about your game? How would you do a big attack? Or?
No, I think so. He made a mistake on the a2 pawn.
Oh, really?
Because my bishop could capture it.
So you just took his pawn off?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you won in the end game?
Yeah.
Very good.
Because after I took the pawn,
yeah,
I skewered the king and the rook, the queen and the rook.
Oh, gosh.
So
you won a pawn and then what, the exchange?
Yeah.
And the exchange?
Yeah.
Wow. And then won the end game?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I had a game with Grace, Adam. I have to tell you about it. We played at Chess Fest in London, and Grace, you swapped it off to a rook and pawn endgame.
Yeah.
And then she made my rook boring. She just said, "I'm going to make you." You remember this? You said, "I'm going to make your rook boring," and then she played these moves, and then my rook ended up on f6 where it couldn't do anything, and it was very boring. And then you got a very good position.
I love that.
And then so my only trick after that. My only trick was to start talking about ice cream, and that distracted you enough. And that was my trick. So there we go. Yeah.
Very good.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Grace. And good luck with any chess coming up, any big chess plans. Yeah? You got any other tournaments lined up yet?
No.
Not yet, but you're gonna play some bit later, yeah?
Yeah.
Good. Well done. Well done on your tournament. Well done on your win today. And see you soon.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Good luck, Grace.
Okay, so let's check back in then on the under 12s. We've got Elise Dyson against Cameron Gross. Okay, how's this one going?
This is very
wow, there's a lot of action happening here. Elise has everything lined up on the F file and is going down the king side, but there's this open H file which could be dangerous. What do you think of this, Adam?
Yeah, I was briefly checking in on this game before we came back on air, and if we just want to go back a few moves, there's been a couple of fairly big inaccuracies by both sides.
Right.
Okay, we can start maybe around here. No, about here is fine. I think in this position in general, Black is doing quite well. It's established this nice on e4, very strong. And Ellis has sort of decided that the king side needed to be, well, obviously he's trying to attack the king. Now in this position here, I think Black took on, show me, play knight to d2, that's right. The main problem with White's position, which Black didn't.
It's a big fork, isn't it? Look, queen, rook, and the other rook. Family fork. It
is. You just need the king to be there as well. On b3, that would be nice. Yeah, if we just go back to the position before knight d2.
Yep.
Black had the opportunity here, and it looks a bit counterintuitive, but had the opportunity to basically win on the H and G files. So what he should have played is I think, G takes f5, G takes f5, and then just move the king.
I'm live, yeah.
king e7.
Just going to say sorry, but I had to get something said.
Yeah. That's fine, Adrian. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Very appreciated.
And now you can see that the one rook is coming to h8 and the other rook is coming to g8.
Yep. Yes, this looks
And
like a vicious attack. And that knight is covering the f2 square, so the king can't run
not
away.
only covers the f2 square, but it also holds up any pressure on the f6 knight, and it stops the king running, and it blocks the bishop. So I think this just probably won on the spot for black.
Wow, yeah.
I can't see any way.
And it's not necessarily what you'd think of when you have this like family fork open to you, but
so knight to d2 was played.
Yes, so we had knight d2.
Queen f4 looks like a good move. There's not much choice.
Yeah.
Knight takes rook.
Yeah.
And then in this position, all Ellis, just stop before that, because this last move was a huge mistake. Rook takes knight.
Oh, really? It's a natural looking move.
Yeah, but if you consider the intermediate move, pawn takes pawn first, it makes so much more sense.
Pawn takes pawn on g6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That knight on f1 is not going anywhere.
It's true. It's not running away.
Is that white is in time to attack the knight on f6 enough. So now if king e7 or king g7, but let's just say king e7, then white can just play g5 now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And this looks really powerful. So the knight has to move because it's going to be taken otherwise. But if it does, queen takes f7, for example.
Yeah, exactly. So perhaps black can backtrack with knight d7 here to try and cover up the king a little bit. But queen takes pawn, I imagine. King has to go to d6. And now, at the very least, you can just take
the very least, you take this knight. No, it's a really good point, Adam. This looks like a big improvement. Yeah.
Because what happened in the game, rook takes knight.
Yeah. So Ellis did the natural move, but not the best move. Rook takes
and she didn't take very much time over it. So I think that she just maybe didn't consider the intermediate move enough there, which is an important...
this intermediate move, just taking the pawn. Yeah.
And now what black, I think, is just doing very well again. Played, but I think could do the same thing as we'd already discussed. It's not quite so good because the knight's gone from e4.
Right.
But
so takes. Oh, here, and go king e7 instead.
Probably go king e7 here.
King e7. Right. So what if white, I was going to say to f takes e6 to put all these threats on the knight, but then we've got these two rooks.
That looks like the natural move.
We could look at it. So takes, then we've got check across here, yeah?
Yep.
But at least the king can run away in this version,
and
right?
Also the knight can block, importantly.
Yeah, so maybe king g2.
King g2, rook g8 check. And then white has to decide between knight g3 or king f2, but let's say knight g3.
Let's say knight g3, because white's still got a lot of threats here.
And now the pawn on b2 hangs with check.
Oh, I see. You can't rook takes g3.
Maybe you can play rook takes
Rook takes g3, queen takes, and then the other rook to g8.
Yeah, possibly. So, but okay, I could then take back with my king. Oh no, I can't take back with my king because of knight h5.
No, can't with the king because of knight h5.
Rook takes g3 might just win then. It's not quite the end. It's not quite the end of the story, is it? Because white could play queen takes.
Yeah.
Rook g8, take it off, and take on f7 with the pawn.
With the pawn. Oh, good grief! And that's queening.
Knight f6 is forced.
Knight f6. Yes.
And what is going on?
Which holds it all together.
Well, I'm not sure it does. Maybe black is still lost after rook e1. No. Okay, rook e1. My idea was rook e1, king f8, bishop g6.
But king f7, right?
Oh, but king takes f7, exactly. Or knight e4, but your move is better again. King takes f7, so that's fine.
Yeah.
So that's
this looks
winning for black.
Good for black. Winning for black.
Winning for
so
black.
Okay, so maybe you don't interpose on g3. So here you just move the king.
But then you can see there's no real pressure down the f file, so I could just play pawn takes pawn.
Right. Yeah. King runs away.
At the very least, I could play pawn takes pawn. I probably have a better move, to be honest, but.
Oh, and now black.
Now, rook
No,
f8.
no, there is a threat on the knight, to be
rook
fair.
f8.
Rook f8. Yeah, and black's threatening to come in on b2.
It's just an exchange up.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah. Okay, so let's see, because we've got some more moves. So let's see what they actually did. So, yeah, but that does look like a good chance for black.
And then
there.
there's this really, I think, again, a really lovely move here. If white has to take back with the pawn here.
Yeah.
And now, again, the very counterintuitive move, g5.
g5, Adam. g5, right.
You shut down the f file, but you open the two h and g files. So after queen takes pawn, just king e7 again.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah.
You have to maybe go queen e3 check.
So, all right. Say again.
Queen e3 check is forced.
Queen e3 check.
To step away. And then king d7.
Yeah. And then this king's stuck.
King is very open, and you see here the knight can come to g4 in some positions now as well. Like with the checks first. It looks very, very bad.
Yeah. Hello. Are you going to come and say hello on stream?
I'll come and say hello.
Come and say hello. Excellent. Right. We've got yes, do sit down next to me. And we've got another player. This is Katie.
Hello.
Hello. How was your game just now, Katie? Oh, sorry. We should start with what section are you playing in?
Under 16.
Under 16. Have you had a nice week in Torquay?
Yeah.
That's good. And tell me about your game today.
Well, I think I was winning, but I lost it in the end.
Actually, what we could get it up on the screen if you
Yeah.
like. Okay, we're going to do a quick switch to the under 16s, and we're going to see Katie's game. Let me just get my links right. So we are. What do you remember? What board you're on?
9.
No, that's okay. 9. Did you
9,
say?
yeah.
9. If I do that, this should take us directly to it. Let's see if the magic works. It's having a big think. Here we go, Katie. Okay, so, right. Which position would you like to talk about? We'll go back not the final position. Before then, when you win the exchange. Okay. Do you remember where that was?
So, well, I want a pawn. Actually, if you go back a little bit.
Back a little bit.
I think on move 10. Like...
Move 10. So we have G3.
Yeah.
You're playing black.
Yeah.
Should we flip it so we can see it from your side? Let's do that. Here we go. This is you, Katie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so white's gone G3. You're doing this kind of traditional attack on the king side with getting your bishop and your knight in. All right. Adam, any thoughts on this game for Katie?
Okay. Hi, Katie.
Hello.
Oh, hello. So this position visually looks very nice for you, I would say. You've got your bishop coming in, and your opponent just played G3 because she was it a girl or boy? Sorry.
Boy.
Boy. So he was worried about H2, which you can understand. So I bet you were thinking about here using the pin with bishop G4 a bit, bishop E4, bishop H3, bishop moves to start with. I was thinking about. But also knight.
You did do a bishop move, but you did a completely different bishop move.
Yeah.
Completely different bishop.
But bishop G4 looks nice, doesn't it, for example?
You took on
Yeah,
C2.
I wasn't sure if I should like continue the attack or go and take the pawn.
Can I suggest something?
Katie played bishop takes C2.
Yeah, bishop takes C2. Now, the only drawback of that, although you do win a pawn, Katie, is you lose this bishop, which is potentially so powerful on the king side with all these light squared weaknesses. And so your opponent is going to be left with this bishop on C4, which may be able to defend those squares quite nicely. Mm-hmm. So possibly instead of bishop takes C2, I was wondering about maybe playing knight to G4.
Threatening.
With the intention of just to the intention of tying down that knight on F3. And then you could potentially play something like bishop to E4 to try and displace
it. After bishop D3 though. That's why I didn't play
D3. Right, okay. So here let's try and somehow still make that knight move if we can. first of all, there's no immediate problem to your bishop. You can take it back with your pawn, so that's okay. Let's try and get a little bit creative here.
Adam's putting on his creative hat. Go.
Trying. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to take on g3.
G3. Yes. Okay. I thought of this one.
You can't take it back with your f pawn.
He's doing this with. Yeah.
You can't take it with your f pawn.
Oh, because this knight's on free, so it has to take back with the h pawn.
Yeah, and then I wanted to take on d4. I want to do everything I can to get rid of your knight.
Right. So it takes back with the bishop, I'd say.
And then rook takes.
Rook takes. Okay, it's threatening this, and it can't be taken.
And I don't think you could take the bishop because the queen's gonna get taken.
Oh yeah. Okay. So the knight moves back.
The knight could just move back. And
has he got a winning line?
Or
is he just putting your pieces on freeze?
I'm just putting the pieces on.
I suppose you could just like rook d1 and claim there's a pin on the
you've got
d file.
Got at the moment two pawns for your piece, so possibly exchange the bishops for starters.
Yeah, exchange bishop.
Black, take and take, and the knight on f3 is still quite tied down. So although you might not immediately be winning, it's very hard to get that guy out of the way. So even something here like pawn g5, just to really fix it, so it can't even jump.
You keep coming up with moves I wouldn't have thought of at all. Pawn g5.
Just fix it. I was a little bit worried about the knight jumping to the edge to h4.
Right, I see. So stopping this.
It's an interesting line. It might not be completely sound. For example, here white might play king to g2 and try and get the rook over, and that could be a bit of a problem.
I'm not sure he believes his own attack.
Yeah. Well, it was an aggressive line.
Yeah,
it was an aggressive line, but it made quite a lot of sense to play knight g4, even if you don't go all in for the sacrifice. It would be certainly the thing.
No, it does look nice. I do agree.
You don't even have to make the sacrifice after bishop d3. You could play something else. Maybe e5 would be an interesting alternative.
Right. Yeah, threatening e4. So I guess
he'd probably take the bishops off, but you could never really now as white open the d file. That would be too risky.
Yep.
So
okay, and so e4's threatened.
And the knight on g4, it always, if the worst came to the worst, you could exchange it for the bishop if you wish to.
Yeah.
I don't really think you need to. So I just think maybe the bishop on f5, if you're going to exchange it off for something, probably it was best to exchange it off for the opponent's bishop rather than for the knight on f3, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for showing us that, Katie. And you had a nice position there. And well done on your tournament.
Thanks.
And are you playing some more chess?
Yeah, I'm doing the weekend tournament.
Weekend tournament.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll see.
So which section do we look out for you in the weekend?
I don't know. One of the rated ones.
Yes. Okay.
I'm in the same section as my dad and my brother, so it'll be interesting.
Oh, you got to finish ahead of your dad and your brother. Then that's the main.
Maybe, hopefully.
That's the main aim of the competition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you
Thank you very much.
Is Charlie your brother?
Yes.
Aha. Right. We had a quick look at Charlie's game earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And he drew in the end.
He drew,
I think.
yeah.
He drew. Yes. Cool. All righty. Thank you very much. See you, Katie. Good luck. Okay, I'm going to switch us back to under 12s.
Yeah. Okay.
No. Let me get the right round and the right board. 7-1-1 is what I need. There we go. Okay. Oh, so now this is this game. Oh, it looks like Black's exchange for pawn up now.
Yeah, so it was the exchange. We were at that critical position about move 29.
Yes, we see what happened.
Critical, yeah. 28.
So we were on this G takes. We were just here, weren't we?
Yeah, and this G5 move we think was very strong, but instead King G7 played.
King G7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And pawn takes pawn looks logical. And what did white? Black played this queen to D6. That looks like a really, really sensible move. Just trying to exchange the queens and neutralize any dangers. The important point there is that I think white has to exchange the queens, because queen G5, for example, is met by rook H8 check and queen H2 check.
Oh yeah. No, that's too much. You can't. Yeah.
So,
okay, so exchange queens.
Now, whether or not she needed to exchange queens there or could have just left the queen, which looks more logical to me.
Right. Okay, so she could just leave this queen on f4.
Yeah, because then the knight's not guarded. So just maybe pawn takes pawn.
Yep.
It might not matter too much. But
just king takes?
Yeah, stepping into the line, but that looks absolutely safe.
I guess white does have to be...
Still got to be careful about the check.
Careful of these rooks. Yeah.
Possibly... Oh no, I can't even do that instead. Yeah, this still could be just good for black, I think.
Thank you, Nicola Drummer.
What's that?
I think it says... Is it a swan? I'm not sure. It's a dancing something or other.
Okay. So yeah, this still looks good for black.
Yeah. Okay, so Elise exchanged.
Yeah.
And then took the pawns off as well. Knight G3. So this it looks good for black just because of material now. So white's got a pawn for the exchange. But those rooks are going to be pretty good, aren't they, in the endgame, Adam?
They should be. They should be, yeah. G8 looks sensible.
Would you say this is winning, or that white has some good drawing chances here?
I think white has some good drawing chances, but I think with really precise play here.
Yeah, like a computer would probably win, we think. But
you would here be, I imagine, trying to... So we could try and visualize the position with, let's say, just those 4 kingside pieces off the board. So the rook and knight for black and the rook and knight for white. How would you feel about that position?
Right. Oh, so you've just got left a bishop and a bishop against a rook. Yeah. So I guess...
because there's no obvious weaknesses in the white position.
It's true. All the pawns are on the same side of the board, aren't they? So that helps white.
I think it probably should be winning, because the black rook could maybe invade via the second rank around the side, try and tie the bishop and the king down a little bit, and then try and probe for something either with the king or with the A and the B pawns. But I don't think it would be easy by any stretch of the imagination there. Yeah. So perhaps that's what white is hoping for. And it may well be the case that black wants to try and keep more pieces on the board, because there's more danger here to the... Well, I say there's more danger to the white king than the black king. Of course, black has to be very careful about the knight jumping in with check. But
knight f5 is the threat here, right?
Knight f5 is the threat. Okay, should be able to parry that one quite easily.
Yeah.
King d7 perhaps is a starting move.
Yeah.
And just run away to the queen side.
Yeah. All right, let's have a look at the next board. So, oh, they've drawn already. So that one is a draw. And the third board we also looked at.
There's winning for black.
Shambhavi against Sanjit. Yeah, winning for black, do you think?
Yeah. Because
of an extra pawn.
Yeah. Extra pawn and a more active rook.
More active rook.
White should probably be thinking about... you see, the thing here is what white should probably be dreaming of is at least some counterplay, something like rook to a4 to a6.
Rook a4, yeah.
The problem is
this is what you got to do, right? Get this.
Well, but then you just go... The problem is rook b2.
Oh,
You just lose that pawn,
okay, yeah, and you've lost this b pawn. Yes,
and you don't
that
have
is a
anything
problem.
to show. So even that one's
So
not
you have to
possible.
get active a different way. Well, maybe you don't go rook a4, right? Maybe you bring this rook back and then go rook a. That doesn't even help though.
No. And you'd have
No.
lost your d pawn on the way.
And you lose your d pawn in the mean. All right. It is true. Tricky
So
position.
Black's got a simple plan now of just playing king g7, king f6, king f5, king f4. And in order to stop that, you're going to have to move a pawn. And when you move that pawn, your king is never going to be able to enter the game easily. Yeah. Unless it comes to e1, and as soon as it comes to e1, your king side pawns are going to be very weak.
G-pawn goes.
So let's say something like, I don't know, g3, or do you want to go g4? G3? Yeah, and let's say that Black just plays g5. And the idea behind that move is that if you now start stepping towards my rook with your king f1, let's say, and I might just wait a move and play king g7. I don't think it matters too much. And king e1. Then we could go just rook h2 and immediately win a pawn. It might actually be stronger to go rook g2 and then go up to g3. But you see, the point of g5 was just to try and fix your pawns.
Yeah.
And this is even what White should probably try. So g4 here, rook g3, king f2, rook takes pawn, and rook a4. But unfortunately, even this we can't do because rook h2 check and rook at b2, and the pawn still falls. b2, I think, probably just to...
Sorry, b2, yeah, and king. I was just thinking my king should maybe go that way.
Yes, I think so.
King, rook there, yeah. Okay, yep, I'm convinced it looks very difficult for White. Okay, and then we've got a couple more moves. This is where we're up to, actually. So there we go. All right, let's go back to under 14, shall we?
It's potentially the one where Stanley and Luca were fighting for first place.
Yes. Under 14, 1-1. Okay. So Caleb against Stanley. Oh, look at these pawns in the middle of the board.
It's not the pawns in the middle of the board that are concerning. It looks like
this is f6 pawn as well.
Yeah, Black is just about to lose.
Black is about to lose. Black. So here.
I mean, there were lots
threatening
of
queen g6.
It's just going to be a checkmate.
Oh no. I have to admit I'm a Stanley fan because he's been on the stream a few times and has been lots of fun in commentary.
This is
sounding biased.
Shame then, I'm afraid.
That's
it looks like
reason why.
Stanley is in big trouble here. There's not really even a move to suggest that's going to prolong the game.
Knight f8? Oh no, resigns.
Yeah.
All right, congratulations to Caleb then. Oh, so this is
that means that Luca
opens up the tournament for Luca. So Luca on board 2 and Stanley were half a point clear. So Caleb has now moved ahead of Stanley. So Caleb is on 5.5. So the game we have to see is Luca. And so we've got Luca against Balahari. And we've got a queen and pawn endgame where White has 2 extra pawns. Must be good for White, Adam.
Yeah.
White's check. You see, White could just now check and force a draw. No, that doesn't mean he wins the tournament though, because he wants to win to stay ahead of Caleb, if my maths is right.
Correct.
Correct. So he's playing for the win.
Yeah, you imagine so.
Right.
Being 2 pawns up.
So queen and pawn endings are quite tricky though, Adam.
Yeah, I suppose so. This one doesn't look too tricky though. Like, what have you got? You've got 1 check on h5 and you've got a check on d4. Well, that looks like a very strange move to me. Perhaps it's fine. Okay.
So he just
It's a
didn't
bit
check.
odd to block your king, but so now queen d4 check has to be met by queen e4.
Yeah. Now, of course, Luca would love to exchange queens and just win the pawn ending. But Balahari's not going to do that. Black's going to just keep checking, right? As much
it's I don't know if it's luck or he's absolutely seen it, but the point here is queen d2 check.
Yeah.
You can't go to the e file because of the skewer, so you have to go queen e3, and then I had g5 check. But
oh right, let's see this. Yeah.
So you can take it twice and go king
here
e4.
and g5 check, trying to deflect the king so that the black can take the queen. So what do you do? Take it.
Take it and go king e4. It looks
king
just
e4.
about
You have
fine.
to keep your queen safe.
And now there's no more deflections.
So the only check you've got now for black would be queen c2.
Yeah, and then queen c2, you just go king d5.
King d5. Oh, it's nice to
get the king out. You can't check on f5 because of queen e5 check.
Yep, yeah. And so this is
one of those pawns is
good enough, right? Oh, so queen d1. You've still got queen d1 as a
queen
check.
d1, but you could just take the pawn on c5 then.
Right, and that's it. That's going to be the end. Yeah, once you've taken that one, these pawns are a real force, aren't they?
Yeah, it was just you just obviously had to see the king e4 at the end, but I'm sure that was all planned anyway. But it's after king f4 in our position.
Black's trickily done the moves in a different order. Black's gone gone here already.
That looks like a good move.
And then we've got takes.
Right,
and king there. Yeah, okay. So move. Not. Yeah.
You didn't want to allow there a series of checks which could become problematic. However, I'm not sure Luca probably saw g5 check in that position. That was quite a good defensive try.
Yes.
Now the only check is obviously on d4.
Mary Hatman's saying maybe not that easy to convert because there's no pass pawn.
It shouldn't matter too much. The black king's so open. You're going to be checking and winning at least one of those pawns. There's going to be some checks, of course, to deal with, but let's say, for example, in this position, because white is just threatening lots of checks with captures. So I don't really see what you do here apart from checking on d4.
Yep.
And queen e4. And almost
queen d7 maybe.
Queen d7, and you could just take
the and then you just take it. Yeah. Take it off, and then it's not
there. And if necessary, you come and run and hide behind your queen. So if queen d8, you could just hide back on f4 and e3 if necessary.
Right, and just come back in.
But because that black king's so open, you're always going to be often going to be able to meet a check with a check by the queen and just swap the queens off. So I shouldn't see too much difficulty in white converting this one.
Okay. So it's looking like...
It's looking good for Luca.
Looking good for Luca to win the championship here. Let's have a look at the next board as well. Okay. And we did look at this, didn't we, in the opening? Here we go. So we now have an interesting endgame.
Wow, it's very strange because this was the one where black had to hide the king behind the pawn on the A file. And
yes, I remember now. Yes,
pawn down for no compensation. Yes. I think it must have been the case over the last few moves that white's just blundered, because isn't it just here that black's doing okay again?
Yeah, so white's still got the extra pawn,
but it can be taken
but
back
black
here.
isn't like in trouble or anything. Yeah,
You can just take it back here. So you just take on c4.
just take on c4.
With,
What are we going to take with the knight?
Perhaps that's the only problem is that you're going to have some problems with your c6 square. So let's say knight takes and knight d4, which threatens rook c6, and it also obviously threatens the knight. That's probably the pawn on e6. What am I talking about? So you've got two threats there to deal with. But I think you can play e5.
e5. All right.
Because
takes. Not takes, thingamy.
king
Check.
b7.
Oh, no, because you're threatening.
Yeah, so king b7 and the rook is...
Oh, and then you can't. Yeah, you can't do this.
Okay, it's not quite the end of the story, because after e5, you also have a check on b5, which you may or may not wish to do. But let's say you do. The king has to go to a6 to keep in touch with the rook.
Yes.
And then we take on d5.
Take on d5.
Which
okay. And then once black takes a knight, white takes a knight. Yes, very clever.
But here could we play... I was thinking rook c8. Creating some counterplay. But it can be neutralized.
It's all got tricky again. b5?
You can play b5 and knight c6 to block the file. Yeah. Seems fine.
Yeah.
Although here after, let's say, knight a3, you can play just king b4. Or can you? Knight c2?
Knight takes b5, takes...
You could go into that king and pawn endgame. Yeah.
You can get into a king and pawn endgame, yes. And how's that? Draw, right? Draw?
Looks like it should be a fine for black. Although the white king is a bit more active. Let's have a look. So, yeah, take and take.
Or is this a draw? No. Oh, wow.
King c5.
King c5. This king is...
Yeah, but white's got double pawns on the g file. So even if he was to play g4 and try and play g5, black could always stop it. So let's play... Okay, yeah, let's go there. Let's go king e7 and just hang around. Hang around a bit. And when you go g4, I'm going to just go g5.
Right.
And you can get your... Well, you can't even get your king into f5. Well, you may be able to with some clever. So king e4, king e6, and then wait. Play like f3. And king e7.
And then king
f5. King f7.
King f7.
And then g3 to try and get the king a bit further in.
Wait again, yeah.
Keep going in, and then I think we could probably just wait. King e7 or king g7.
King e7, right? King g6.
Yeah, king e6.
King e6. King there.
Yeah, and back.
Back. Oh, yeah. And we're just going back and forwards.
Possibly have even played f5 there. And that would have been quite scary for white. Would that have suddenly been losing?
Let's try it again. Here, and f5. Well, maybe.
You've got to take that, I think.
Got to take. And then this white king's been too adventurous.
That is g4.
Yeah, okay, so white cannot do this. This king g7.
You can get into a weird... You can still get into a race, can't you? You could play g4 check.
g4.
Quite interesting. King f4.
King f4. King f6. Takes here.
Yeah.
Here. The black's ahead in this race, right?
Black's ahead. I don't think...
I mean, I know that the knight's pawn... Isn't the knight's pawn a win anyway?
Yes.
The rook's pawn and the bishop's pawn are the draws, right?
Win anyway. So even if that king was a little bit closer to the pawn, it still probably would be lost. So, okay, that looked like it was all right for black.
Well, it was fine. It was a draw before that. It was just a misadventure.
Yeah, exactly. So perhaps black is just about okay, but I don't still really trust it. If we go back to the live position.
Yeah. Right, this is where they're at now.
Okay, they're at this. So I think black has to play e5.
So e5. Rook b5.
Now, whether or not you want to play rook b5 or whether you just want to take on b5 first is not completely clear.
Right.
It might not matter too much. I can't really see much better than rook c8 here. And you also have rook d6, which might be a good move.
Rook.
Oh, no, you don't know. Excuse me, you can't play rook d6. Knight takes is bad.
Knight takes,
Very
check.
bad. Okay, so this one is not very clear, is it? Because now the knight has to move. So it was better to throw in the check on b5.
In the check, yeah.
So it would be. So we could likely get rook b5 check, king a6, rook takes pawn. We'd have to go back a little bit because this one's going to be.
Yeah. Okay, but we looked at that.
Yeah. And even this one might not be. So now we could even play rook c5 maybe in this position.
Yeah.
It feels like white should be doing well still.
Yeah, because if takes, then take on c4, and then the d pawn's going to go.
You're going to have to exchange the rooks. But this is not still very clear. Now you have to put the knight somewhere. Not that many good squares, are there? Let's put it on a3. And the knight has to move by white.
So let's come.
Yeah. And then king to b5, just to try and get that king active and stopping the opponent's king coming in.
Yep.
Still some chances to hold the position, perhaps. But maybe knight e6 was not the right direction, but it's still. It might be the case, for example, that this knight can come and pick off a pawn. So, for example, here you might have knight f8. And if g5, you can play knight d7, which it looks really good.
Yeah.
So you'd have to instead play probably king takes c5 instead of g5. And then white has a pleasant choice about to take on g6 or maybe to take on f6 instead, which might be better.
Yep, so you can go like that and that, take on f6.
Yeah. But black's definitely got some chances to draw that because all the pawns are on the same side and the king can get back at least to defend. And there's double pawns for white, so it's not like his pawns are perfect.
Cool. All right, check in under 16s, or do you want to see some more boards on here?
No, let's go to the 16s. I think that's the crucial ones.
16s. Okay. And right, let me do this. Okay. Frankie.
He won.
Against Tony. He won. No. Oh, we said Stanley was losing. Frankie was level, wasn't he?
Frankie had this very.
Oh, no, this was this really crazy game. This was the game with the pawn on f7. Should we just see how it went?
Sure.
So there was this pawn on f7. And Frankie did go in with rook g4, which we thought in the end wasn't the best move, but it was one of the moves we were looking at. Bishop d2.
That looks very slow. Bishop d2 doesn't look quite in keeping with the position. You know, h5 to h6.
h5 was what we were talking about. Just
push it, and just even if it costs you the pawn, maybe just give it up. Bishop e6 looks like a good move. Queen d7 looks like a good move. And although white's getting a few threats in, they almost feel like just soft little blows rather than something too dangerous. The black pieces all look really nicely coordinated, don't they?
Yeah, so this one attacks the rook, but the rook can just take this pawn.
Yeah.
h6, rook g8, g4, knight in, g5, rook f5, h7. But this in this particular line, then black can just drop in behind the pawn, and it's not going to queen. And this rook has sort of set up a skewer or
I
Screw
think the
their
queen's
own
trapped,
thing.
unfortunately.
Queen is trapped. Okay. So Frankie wins. Let's see the next one. Okay. And this one, black's pieces look very, very active here, don't they?
They do. So this position is deceptively sharp. Well, I don't know, deceptively sharp is the right term, because you do generally consider opposite color bishop sort of late middle game, end game positions to be relatively quiet. But here, that's, I don't think, the case at all. You can see here the white just looks like he's clinging on a little bit on the first.
Although actually, having said that, how will black make progress?
That's a very fair question. Doesn't really seem to be a way. Play a6, I suppose, and then I guess you just go queen e2.
A6, bring the queen back. Maybe it's not as. I looked at these like queen and rook and thought, wow, this is great for black. But actually, then how do you actually do it? So here.
I don't think you do. I just think it's fine for white, because
yeah,
you exchange, it's going to be fine. And in fact, you could even say, let's say we traded them. And black maybe makes a careless move. Okay, there's plenty of moves here which are not careless. You could play something like rook c3 and just immediately agree a draw, basically.
Right, yeah.
I would think that would be pretty much a straight draw, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, if the rooks come off, it's got to be, right?
There would be one time where possibly those black pawns on the queen side are not on the right square. So if white could play bishop f3 and win one of them quickly, then that would be fine. That would be maybe some chances. But even then, you can play b6, a5. It's no problem.
Yeah.
But let's play a careless move just to maybe
to see.
So let's say rook b1 is a careless move. Doesn't really do anything for the starters. But now let's say the white plays bishop c4. And suddenly the black bishop is tied down and the king is tied down, and white can dream about maybe making some progress. Something like rook f4, pawn f3, pawn g4, and eventually shift the bishop with pawn g5.
Okay, interesting, yeah.
Now there should be a way to stop that. For example, black could reroute his rook back to the seventh line, defending the f pawn and defend the b pawn, and then just move the bishop. So it probably isn't very dangerous, even here.
Yes.
And that's with a really careless move like rook b1. So I think this one is headed towards a draw.
So overall, we think this is pretty drawish.
Does look it.
And this is what they've actually done.
So he's run away with the queen. It's sensible.
Yeah.
Queen to d3. And it just gives... Unless there's some big mistake here, it looks like it should be balanced. But some play left. You can move your bishop and rook c3 now.
Okay, I wanted to look at also Emily's game.
Okay.
Shall we have a look at Emily?
Sure.
I don't know which board she's on. No, I don't see her at all.
Who you want? Emily Mayton?
Yeah.
Yeah, board 10 or 11.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah, she's 1.
Now, at this point, has my internet given up?
Oh.
Right, you can still hear me, yeah?
Yes.
Yes, but my thing's not refreshing. Let's try that again. If my internet has given up, we might need to stop at this point.
Give up ourselves.
Oh, no, there we go. There we go. There we go. There we go.
It's checkmate.
Checkmate. Well, that's pretty convincing. Okay. We'll just whiz through really quick, c4. So this is, would you call this a sort of Maroczy bind position?
You would, yeah.
White, and she's Emily has She was telling me before the game she's read Game Changer, and now I see she's pushed her H pawn up the board very early. So this is
well, black has been very helpful in that they played this move e5 and blocked his own bishop, which doesn't look like it's normally not a good decision in the Sicilian or whatever opening here. It was, I think it's c4 initially, but yeah. So the knight has always got d5 here, which is a very nice square for it.
It looks really nice in this position, doesn't it?
Yeah, c5 is a very, very pretty move.
Playing for mate, which is defended, and bishop c4 check. King h8 takes on b6. Now the knight comes in.
I think she could have just taken on g6, couldn't she?
Ah, where?
Instead of b6.
Where, Adam? Here.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Queen takes g6 here. Yes, because of the pin on the h file, which would leave black's king very exposed.
It might be that the way she played is still also very good. She just pick up a pawn on the queen side, but you might have here queen takes g6.
But I suppose you could take the pawn. Oh, right. And then queen d6 now.
You could take it here. This would be good.
Yeah.
Or do what she did, knight d5, exchange the queens off, and then pick up the b pawn.
This is nice too, because look at that A and B pawn are now passed.
That looks like a slightly strange decision by white, but maybe it was necessary, was it?
Picking on c8.
Yeah, just seems a bit of a shame, but I suppose then the rook comes to b2 otherwise, so you do understand it actually there. F3, bishop f8.
Yeah, I thought Emily might go and queen her A pawn, but she's actually also going for mate on. And she's doing it both ways, which is good, isn't it? Playing on both sides of the board. Very nice.
It's a very pleasant position. You can do both.
Yeah.
This looks like a blunder, rook c7.
There we go. Okay, yeah.
Nice. Black could have fought on much better than that, I think, with rook g7 after rook h5.
Rook h5, so rook g7, just defending the pawn. Yeah.
No reason to give it up, I don't think.
I suppose white can then switch back and just go like a6.
Yeah, but that square's covered by the bishop always. How are you going to advance that one any further?
Well, I was going to move my rook back again to a1.
Yeah, but then he's still not got enough defenders of a7.
Yeah.
Take it.
Fair enough. We need to get the king in then in order to really...
You would need probably to get the king in, or just try and push that b pawn. That would be another idea. Like, you could consider playing b4 here, couldn't you? If on your next move,
deflect the bishop.
Displace the bishop and then go for the g pawn.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
It worked out nicely because.
Should we whiz back to the under 12s?
Sure.
Okay. We had this game. Ellis was trying to hold an end game on top board, wasn't she?
Yes.
Let me just get it back onto board 1.
So board 2 was a draw. Just to update people, so board 2 is a draw. So the only other person who could get to 5.5, it's not going to affect the first place, would be Sanjit on board 3.
Okay.
Oh, no, sorry, and his opponent who hasn't been given enough points, Shambhavi. But I think we looked at that one and said that was difficult
for Shambhavi, wasn't it?
That was that rook end game, which looked really bad. So Sanjit looks like he's going to get to 5.5. But whatever happens on the top board is going to decide the place where the actual championship goes. There is a separate girl. Is there a separate girls' championship title? I assume there is.
I assume there is. Although I have to say that we've got girls on top boards of all the sections, haven't we? Or lots of sections. Anyway, the girls are doing very, very well.
Yes,
really impressed. Yeah.
So this one, we're at a stage white's just played king e1, and not a great deal really has happened since we last looked at it, has it? we've got the same.
No, it's pretty similar. Yeah.
We've got the same sort of situation. The white king now looks fine. The black king looks fine, but is that going to be enough for black to make enough damage to the white queen side?
Loz is suggesting boys' prizes if the girls win. Yeah, I guess there should be. Whichever way round, there should be a prize for the other as well.
Yes, indeed.
That was a draw. This one we had a look. It was difficult for white. Yeah. It's still difficult for white.
Very difficult.
Yes, looks like black will win that one. Well done, Sanjit. Okay, we didn't see this game yet, but Emil's Alexei against Emil's, and
it's winning for white.
Winning for white because of the extra piece. Okay, that one's done. Black win. And May won that game against Rook U. Draw here. I'm just going to whiz through all the games. Draw. Adam Sefton got a win here as black. I think all the games are pretty much finished, aren't they, except for those top two. This one's still going. So Senith against Ankita.
Which board are you looking at?
That's a good question. I'm looking at board 13.
Board 13. So it looks like a little bit better for white. You could go rook e8. You might be advised to go rook e8, f4.
Rook e8 you can't. Oh, for black here. Yeah. Because the queen's on freeze.
Oh, queen's on freeze. Sorry, missed that. Yeah. So you trade the queens.
Yes. And I suppose white's a bit better because of the...
Well, you can play rook b8 though.
Structure. Rook b8. Okay, maybe it's... Oops, I missed. Oh, I missed again. Here we go. There we go.
You want to go rook a2. That's not going to help your cause very much.
Right. Yeah, okay. So then if we're going to swap pawns, it's going to be a draw, right?
Yeah, I'm just... How are you going to swap the pawns? You're going to play...
Well, I was actually going to go rook a2, even though...
Oh, okay. You're playing the
and then come out with the king and...
see, after rook a2, I'm going to go rook b3.
Right. Oh, so maybe this is just horrible. So rook here. So
I can't believe it's going to be that horrible. F3 or g3
no.
looks like it should be fine. But
yeah.
Here you could, black might just go... I was going to say g5, but then possibly rook a5 is annoying. So perhaps king h7 first.
Yeah, okay.
King h7, king h3, and something safe like rook b4 might be the safest. And it's just going to be a draw, isn't it?
Yeah. They've done a completely different line.
Yeah, I thought rook a2.
Oh, no, it's not completely different. No, it's not completely different. Sorry, it is our line.
Okay.
In fact, yes, this is pretty much what we're looking at. So he has put his rook back.
I don't get it. Black seems to have had an extra move because the king's already on g7 here.
So how did it go? I think they maybe exchanged queens in a slightly different way. We got to here.
An improved version for black.
Right.
That looks weird, doesn't it?
This doesn't look right though. This is a live board error, right? Because otherwise you just take the rook. Yeah. Okay. Fine. I think it would. How was the under 14? Did it conclude?
I think let's just should we do that one just to finish things off?
Whizzing on that one, and then I think we're gonna wind up. If there's any kids watching who want to come and say hello on the stream, we're going to be on for just another few minutes, so come down now. And hello.
Hey.
Hello. Did you want to be interviewed? Have you won your game?
I have drawn my game.
You've drawn your game. Are you a
joint
champion?
British champion.
Oh, congratulations. Do you want to come and say hello then? Or say congratulations on the stream? Okay, this isn't a junior. This is, I was going to say a senior. That's actually it is in fact true.
It's worse, isn't it?
Right. What have you just won? Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm national instructor Matt Ball, and I have come joint first in the under 1750.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How was your game today?
Are you dad of Katie and Charlie?
Yes, that's right.
We had Katie on earlier.
Yeah,
Yes.
good to hear. How was my game? A kind of went as expected. C4, C5 is black. But he didn't play Botvinnik, which he usually plays. Plays something slightly different.
Okay.
More standard English stuff. But the position all got a bit blocked up on the queen side.
Yeah.
Not any way to make progress. And the other game with the players on the same points as us got a draw. So we called it quits.
So were you clear first in the under 17?
No, there's 5 of us
Five
now.
people shared the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
prize. Gosh.
So quite a few draws in the later rounds. In fact, kind of brought lots of people together.
Yes.
But a good tournament. That was my shortest game at 3.5 hours. So,
Oh goodness. So you've played a lot of chess.
Yeah, I'm quite tired now.
Okay. We'll let you go.
Yeah. What's been
Thank you very
happening
much for coming on the stream. We have we've been, the under 12 is still going.
here? Okay.
It's looking like
It's looking like Cameron should.
After a while, your brain
Yeah.
doesn't quite remember everything. We
Cameron
had
should win the event. He's playing black on the top board and needs a draw.
yes,
Should
that's
be.
right.
It's an exchange for a pawn up, so he should hold at least, I would think. Under 14s, we were going to have a quick look at.
We were good. Yes, sorry. Let me put it back. So that was Cameron on the
Oh, okay.
under 12s exchange up.
With Alice.
Under 14, we have seen that Stanley lost his game, and so has been overtaken by Caleb. What was looking like the board 2 was where the action was happening, where Luca was winning, and if he does win, then I'm probably doing that wrong number. Sorry, people.
Go back and use the arrows.
Sorry. Yes. Indeed. Okay. We could pop in on the seniors, but I think we need to wind up very, very soon. So this is it, Luca. So it's queen and pawn ending, and Luca is 3 pawns up now. And so if Luca manages to convert this, then he is the under 14 champion.
I think he will convert that.
Thanks for the follow, Battersea Chess Club.
Very good.
Okay, I think we will. Let's wind up now, Adam. And so, go Luca. Luca is a Battersea Chess Club player. Okay, congratulations to Luca and Battersea Chess Club, assuming that he does manage to convert this. Thanks everyone very much for watching. A big thank you also to Chessable for sponsoring the event. It's been a really nice event for people. Thanks, Adam. And we should say a big thank you also to Nigel Towers and all the people involved in organising the event, and also all the arbiters who have been working so hard to make the event run smoothly. Okay, and I've probably forgotten a million things, but thanks everybody very much for your comments in the chat, and thanks very much for watching. We'll be back later in the event with commentary on the championship, so in general starting at 4 o'clock each day. So hope to see you then. Thanks all for watching.
Cheerio.
Bye.